Hey all, this is Crowtron. I am putting together a quick little video to make a couple of points of clarification on our Redstone rail system. There's been two concerns that have come up, and I want to hopefully clarify things using this video. It's just a lot easier for me to do it this way rather than try to sort it out on the forums or in chat. So let's take a look first at the first one. The first problem is the diameter. So our stations ended up being greater in diameter than NEC's original plan. Right, so you can see here they're actually quite a bit shorter than what NEC had. And what that does really is it just changes one thing about this schematic, and that is this line right here. Right, and the reason being, of course, this button is going to be further back. This button also will be further back, but as you can see, its point of contact is actually a part of this whole system to begin with, so it doesn't much matter. This one is not. It's independent of this system. Okay, so what we need to do basically is make sure everything behind here is extended so it can reach wherever the button would be, you know, if it's like 4 or 5 blocks more that way. This button is important because its job is to give us a way to dispense a minecart if one is not here, right? And if we don't have that, then it negates the whole point because we'd have to make a minecart and put it right here and so on and so forth. So rather than do that, right, we can just press this button. Voila. What it does is it feeds this pipeline down here, eventually getting back to the 2 droppers and then up to the dispenser using this line right here. So the important part is to have this redstone available to be set off by a detector, any detector. This thing can be as long as it needs to be, so can this. I prefer actually extending it using this side of the line instead of this side of the line because it overcomplicates things down the road if we start extending this out and start taking this wall out. So let me show you really quick on a station I'm working on what I did on 60 gig. All right, here we are. Tuned myself up for protection here. So you can see here, this is one that's under construction, and you notice here I extended this quite a bit further back before actually taking it up. The reason for that, I can show you up here. Is here, right? Here's our button that will be used to dispense a cart over here, much further away than before. To make sure that happened, I basically just made sure that this design was the same and followed it down and just extended. So if you look here, you'll notice that it just continues extending back. That's not too big a deal. That's how I've been handling this. Other stations may vary in terms of what they need to do, but that's really the big trick to it. Not much to it at all. Let me just get this fixed real quick and we'll move on. Okay. Now the other thing that's been kind of worrisome to most people is that the way we have this set up here, you know, in terms of the outgoing and the incomings are not the same. The big deal for us is what happens beyond this wall. Right, that's the big deal. What happens before it is kind of besides the point, except for in terms of the dispensing cart dispenser right here. What we do need to make sure, though, is that we have enough wall space for at least 2 switches on the right here, 2 switches on the left here, and actually they'd be here, and then 1 over here as we do with the cart. So this is all good. Beyond that, we need to make sure we have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 blocks of space in between. I already have this set up based on next model from this wall. All right, so I'm going to get back to my single player. Okay, and we can look at that. So if we were to take this as, the station we were just in, right, this looks pretty much familiar. Oops. Busting my stuff up here. That's why I had the sword. So the buttons would be here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the next one is where we're going to have the pit started. This is important. So we have to have 4 blocks of space followed by this pit, the 22 by 22 pit, where all of our redstone goes. Okay, that's the big deal. So this button, you know, this button block could be hundreds of, well, not, you know, like 100 blocks in a direction beyond it. From the dispenser, and it wouldn't make a sense, or it wouldn't make a difference. I'm sorry, I'm tired. All right, so I hope that made sense. I have a feeling that I could have done it better, but I'm just doing all this in one take because I'm tired, and I just want to make sure people know this. This whole thing, as I have it set up, by the way, in the colors, is just to demonstrate, just to show different modules. The colors do not represent the way that all colors would be on our map. All right, so green may not have this same exact configuration. What we have to pay attention to is the cardinal points, or the cardinal direction. So F3 debug screen, this right here says south. That is my cardinal direction. So if this is all, I don't know, plaid, all right, it's all plaid wool, then it does not matter. It does not matter. What I would do is I would get into this world here, and I would find south, right? I know I'm in that direction is south, so I need to find the south circuitry. Here it is, south, right here. Now, it's important to note that there are differences between each one of these circuits, even though they're small. For example, the south, and I believe this is east. Let me see. Yes. So the south and the east require a backflow signal, basically using these in order to function because of something called the southwest rule. Southwest rule basically dictates what direction a rail is going to curve when activated by redstone. All right, and it goes to the southwest. To overcome that, we have to do a couple of tricks. So in this case, I've got the backflows. On top of that, I also have this inverted. Okay, if I go and I look at the east, it's the same with the backflows, but it's not inverted. That's just one of those things that we have to deal with. Okay. On the north and the west, green is west, I believe, I basically have to invert a backflow. And to do that, I am using the sticky pistons to basically become deactivated. In other words, deactivate a signal when a further signal is activated. All right. And again, we have to pay attention to the subtle difference here. In this case, it is inverted at this line and not inverted at this line. Oh, I forgot one, actually. There's a further inversion that actually happens on the south and east ones, which is right here. Okay. So rather than rely on the color, just, okay, if I'm in a tunnel and it's going this way, I look up here and it says west, so I need to go in here and find my west schematic, which is the green, and just copy it verbatim. It's very important we copy it verbatim, because you notice when these things start lining up vertically, there are very specific events that happen above that bottommost circuitry. So you see the torches here, they activate these rails. This one is the default power right here that changes that rail, and so on and so forth. The rest of it really is the same up here, and that is why I included this gray structure here, because it could be any of the directions. This does not matter in terms of the directions. I just set this up so you have a one-stop shop, so to speak, where you can come and look at, at the redstone without it being complicated by the stuff beneath it, right? So I hope that cleared some things up. I'm sorry I wasn't more, able to be more clear on this one. I am tired. But if you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll go from there. All right. See you on the server. Bye-bye.